sure you guys get exercise today. Hey guys, welcome to this portion of the safety breakout session. And what I want to do here today, we talked about rebar cages. That's something that absolutely everybody deals with on just about every job site we have. And man lifts is another topic that on nearly every job site that we deal with, it's something that we've got to be aware of the safety concerns around it. And we're going to talk about two things today. So the first thing I want you to take away from this when we're done is to have a better appreciation for some of the resources that are available to us if we have questions about safety. And then also we're going to talk about the man lifts and some very specific items that deal with fall protection and man lifts. So with me today I've got George Flynn. George is out of the OSHA office here in Greenwood Village. He's been an OSHA compliance assistant specialist for about 9 years. Been with OSHA about 26 years, so we're fortunate that he was able to take some time out of his schedule to be with us this afternoon and share some of his wisdom on this topic with us. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to George, and then we'll come back in and we'll talk about some best practices for us.
Thanks, Matt. So as Matt explained, the first resource that you have wherever you are in the country is you have a compliance assistant specialist in your local area office, wherever that is. Even the state plan states, they have them as well. So if you do have questions, OSHA issues, you try to settle an OSHA argument on the job site, you can call that in your local area office, ask to talk to the compliance assistant specialist, and they'll be able to provide you with information without having the threat of them sending some compliance officer out on your job site. The other resource you have is OSHA.gov. That's the OSHA website. It's got a lot of safety and health information. I think it's the premier safety website in the world. There's all the information's free. Publications, technical information, bulletins, quick cards, you can get copies of the standards. Another piece of information you can get that's helpful is what we call letters of interpretation. OSHA issues a standard. It's not always clear what we mean by what we just said. So people will ask questions. One of the ways they ask questions is they'll do that in writing. They'll write a letter to our national office, and then OSHA will respond back in writing, and that becomes the official OSHA policy on that issue. You can find all those interpretations online. So if you want to type in an issue on what you learned about rebar, you can type in rebar in that search engine, and if there are any interpretations related to OSHA's position on fall protection working with rebar and all that sort of stuff, those will come up. You'll be able to look at those and read those. The issue we're going to talk about today is fall protection and aerial lifts. Before I get to the interpretation itself, we're going to do a little bit of math. So we're going to take this situation that we find very commonly. We've got a worker in a basket. They're wearing a 4-foot lanyard, shock absorbing lanyard, and one of the main hazards from this piece of equipment is about half of the fatalities result from somehow this worker getting out of the basket, getting bounced out of the lift. Maybe they're booming up and they're facing that way and they catch the structure and it flexes the lift and out they go. So let's suppose this worker did that and started to take a header out of this side of the lift. How far are they going to fall with that particular fall protection on? Okay, 6 feet. That's the lanyard length, if it's a 6-foot lanyard. Now the shock pack is going to deploy. It's going to rip out. How far is that going to be? 2, 3, maybe 3, 3.5. Okay, then I've got my D-ring, which is stretched to the top of my head, but the rest of my body's going to fall. So there's another 6 feet, yeah?
Can you show me the shock pad on this you're talking about?
So here's a deployed shock pad. It's ripped out. So it started out looking like this, and it ended up 3 feet longer.
So it's all coiled up inside
It's all coiled up. It's actually sewn in this particular situation, and as it rips out, it dissipates the fall energy. So it makes a softer landing.
So that's how it starts, right?
That's how it starts.
Yeah, that would look just like this before we failed.
And as it rips out, it dissipates your fall energy so that your fall forces went at the bottom are right around 900 pounds or no more than 900 pounds. Okay, so then we got the 6-foot height of the worker. We got the deceleration distance we said was about 3 feet. We've got the length of the lanyard, 4 feet in this case, sometimes it's 6. And then we want to throw in a safety factor. If we add it all together, we're somewhere in the range of 16 feet. 6 plus the lanyard is 4 is another 10, plus the rip out is 3 is 13, plus the safety factor of 3 is 16. In this particular case, he falls out down. So on the ground. If we raised it up another 6 or 7 feet, his feet would still hit the ground, right? So the question was asked, if a manufacturer specifies for their equipment 18.5 feet, you can't use this equipment unless you're 18.5 feet off the ground. Is that the proper equipment to use in an aerial lift? Is OSHA going to allow that? No. OSHA says you can't strike a lower level. That's in the standard. That's a good standard, isn't it? You're going to fall, you can't strike the lower level. What if I'm booming up to 40 feet? I'm good to go, right? With this, no, you're not. Why not? Because you got to start from 0. So at least at 2 points in your travel, you're going to be unsafe. So the answer that OSHA said when this question was asked was, no, you cannot use this. The lanyard you described would not meet the criteria when the aerial lift split platform is less than 18.5 feet. So we can't use that 6-foot shock absorbing lanyard, which is what we see most people using. So Matt, what are we going to do?
Well, the first thing that we want to look at, I want everybody to make sure that we're all on the same page. Falls are bad. No falls are good. Okay, and we like good stuff, right? Okay, absolutely. Now, we joke about this a little bit, guys. This is kind of serious in a sense, because what we've got to do is we've got to prevent a fall. Okay. Now, the way we're going to do that, the best practice for us moving forward would be a shock absorbing, or excuse me, a retractable lanyard. The reason we want to use this lanyard is probably about 2 feet, maybe a little bit longer than that. And if it's working right, that's as long as it's going to be. So, we can't just say that we're going to use a shock absorbing lanyard, retractable lanyard, got too many lanyards in my mind, and say we're done with it. We have to use a retractable along with some best practices. So the first thing we got to do, we have this lanyard. We want to go like this. Make sure that it engages. Okay? It's no longer than 2 feet. If it pays out like this, we can't use this for what we're going to do. Right? So you test it like this first. Now, the next thing that you have to do, put this on the D-ring on your back. Go ahead and hook up to your tie-off point, and you got to be exactly like the mannequin. If you're going to move this basket, you need to be as close as possible to your tie-off point. So if you were to hop in here, get right to you, right? If you were to hop in here, walk through the basket, tie off up there, how long's your lanyard? 5, 6 feet maybe? We've just defeated the purpose of using this piece of equipment. Now we all agreed that no falls are good. And if we can prevent the fall, then we don't have to worry about page 2 of this interpretation. Because if we can't prevent the fall and we allow our guy to go up just like that, then there's a whole lot of stuff that we got to really start thinking about. Huh? So the easiest thing for us to do is a retractable lanyard and have the people in the basket as close as possible to the tie-off points. Right? That'll keep them from falling out of the basket. Brian, your question.
Not only should we check the retractability of it, but we should also know if anybody's ever fallen with that before, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, if somebody has fallen on one of these retractables, guys, you got to take it out of service right now. This thing costs, I don't know, $150. Your life is not worth $150. It's worth a lot more than that. So let's get a new one of these, huh?
And the way to check it would be on that connecting swivel ring, correct?
On this one, I believe it is. But you know what? The easy way to find that out, the best way, I'll get that knot out of there in a second. Manufacturer's instructions that come with every piece of fall protection. Okay, in here, you're going to find how you can inspect that particular retractable, because everyone's a little bit different. So the Scorpion might be different than the Backbiter, might be different than the 100-footers. Any questions? Anything? Carl?
But also need to pull it out entirely before I check the actual nylon.
You bet. It's a great practice to do that. Make sure that somebody didn't use this on stay-in-place decking, right? And there's not a cut somewhere up in here a little bit farther, right? That's part of your inspection process. Any other questions? I know, guys, this is a little bit different than what we've normally talked about, but I'll tell you, I think the reason we're bringing this up is nobody's ever really taking the time to think about this. And there were no new OSHA regulations ever made in any of this discussion. It's just really applying what's been said before to this situation. Anything else? Got just a few minutes if there's any questions, but to recap the two things we wanted to accomplish here today. Wanted to make you aware of some other resources. An OSHA compliance assistant specialist. Huh? Here's a guys and gals across the country that absolutely want to help us out. Their aim is the same as ours, send our people home safe every day. And the second thing, moving forward, one of the best practices for the Central District when we've got man lifts is a retractable lanyard along with keeping ourselves as close to the tie-off point as possible. There's no other question, that's all I got, guys.